apparently is a clout chaser. I don't know how else to describe somebody who had in their Instagram bio, I just want to be famous. So he will absolutely capitalize on this verdict and make us look at his stupid face until further notice. The jury system certainly works for the ruling class. Excerpt from George Jackson's Blood in My Eye. All black people, wherever they are, whatever their crimes, even crimes against other blacks, are political prisoners because the system has dealt with them differently than whites. Whitey gets the benefit of every law, every loophole, and the benefit of being judged by his peers, other white people. Blacks don't get the benefit of any such jury trial by peers. Such a trial is almost essential to result in the conviction of a black person. And it's a conscious political decision that blacks don't have those benefits. Howard Moore Jr., attorney, official said of court, but not for the court. He is in a position to know he's honest, black, and dedicated enough to tell. The purpose of this chief repressive institutions within the totalitarian capitalist state is clearly to discourage and prohibit certain activity, and those prohibitions are aimed at very distinctly defined sectors of the class and race sensitized society. The ultimate expression of law is not order, it's prison. There are hundreds upon hundreds of prisons. He probably won't be able to go back to Kenosha again. Well, what the fuck would bring him back to Kenosha? He doesn't live there. He had to cross state lines to get there. He's not going to be going back anytime soon because why would he? I guess that's a nice thing whenever you go so far from home to kill somebody and get away with it. You don't really have to worry about what's going to happen because you can't show your face there again. There's no reason for him to even go back. Unless he wants to, try his chances again and show up at the next Black Lives Matter protest and see what happens. I don't know. I would say that he would be advised against it. I think he will kill again. You think so? See, I don't know. I think most of us were expecting the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict to be what it was. That's actually really scary. I don't think a lot of people really understand. My property taxes are probably going way up because my house value went up so much. Yeah, and a lot of people who own homes, they see the value of inflation if their home values do rise based on increases in CPI, because that means more equity that they are accumulating. According to Wisconsin, I just have to have someone supposedly charge me and I can blow them away. No, Sim Daddy, because depending on how the judge perceives you, I don't know. It depends on, who is in charge of tipping the scales of justice, because we know that judges are tasked with the role of presiding over a case, but now we are seeing how judges take the opportunity to exercise judicial bias to tip the scales in favor of a given party, and whether or not a judge, especially if you got the judge that just tried the Rittenhouse case, didn't like you or your political leanings, well, that could actually work to your disadvantage. So you just have to get Judge Schroeder? No, because Sim Daddy is a lib. And sometimes he says based things, and that would absolutely not work to his advantage if he were to try to get away with what Kyle Rittenhouse just got away with. Mr. Mystery, the fact that you would even say that you would suggest that, yeah, if you were, well, if you're Kyle Rittenhouse, if you're clearly on the side of the cops and a right-winger or a conservative, then yeah. Ma'am, I am not a lib. Yeah, well, Sim Daddy, sometimes you are. Only a lib would say that? Sim Daddy, just, what are you waiting for? Just come over to the dark side, if that's how you feel. I will say this, my lighting was super fucked. My lighting was super fucked today during the podcast. So, don't be judgy, Chad, if you watch the podcast and you're like, what's going on? I was going to quote... Yeah, don't do that. I'm white-skinned Mexican, so I can play both parts like a chameleon. All right, Sim Daddy, if you have not learned from this recent trial that you can be executed based on your political leanings or simply by supporting the very simplistic notion that Black Lives Matter, and the person who killed you might have a lot of support on the back end that will help them get away with it. Yeah. Which again, so the difference between you and Kyle Rittenhouse is that your ethnicity could be used against you, as well as your political leanings, so you would most likely not have the same fate as Kyle Rittenhouse. Because the judge would not see you as the son he never had, like he did with Kyle Rittenhouse. He would see you as a menace. He would see you as a problem. He would see you as a statistic. It's almost as if there is a template for how judges, especially judges who look like this Schroeder fuck, handle defendants who look like what you have just described. It's almost as if you go through a completely separate set of proceedings, depending on the color of your skin, whenever you are tried within the justice system, especially in a criminal court of law. So yeah, like you mentioned, your last name, the color of your skin, the way that you talk, all of those things will be absolutely used against you, and they will be weighed very heavily in your sentencing. My white uncle would only get profiled only for his record, and he's not respectably tall either. When the prosecutor asked Kyle a question, he looked at the judge to see if he should answer. Yeah. Was that drone footage that got him off? No, what got him off was the fact that before the trial even started, the judge went through very strict parameters as to what the prosecutor could or could not bring up. Also, the scope of the case was so limited to self-defense and not the moments or the days or even the weeks leading up to the shooting that made it almost impossible for a jury to provide any other verdict than a not guilty one. Not to mention, Kyle Rittenhouse put on a good fucking show whenever he took the stand. He made it seem like he was having a real bad episode, reliving that moment as he faked cried one tear and then went back with the shit-eating grin on his face. But in that moment, he probably sold it to the jury that he was fearful of his life, and he did act in self-defense. One tear is being generous. Okay, I know this because I had to zoom in real, like, I had to get into that motherfucker's little pores. And I did see one sole tear running down his cheek. In one picture that I looked at, I didn't examine like his entire show. His lips were quivering. You know what's cool about not being a mind reader? You don't actually know what's going on inside a person's mind. That could actually be the real reason why they are seemingly upset. What could be provoking Kyle Rittenhouse to show such emotion? Could it be the fact that he killed somebody, even though he talked about wanting to kill somebody and was trying to find a way to kill somebody? Because he talked about wanting to kill somebody, so he got into his fucking truck with a gun that he illegally obtained and killed somebody? Or do you think it's the fact that in that moment he might have been fearful that he was going to maybe spend 65 years of his life in jail if he's not able to sell this? And I would say by virtue of fearing that things weren't going to work out in his favor, depending on whether or not he could sell his emotional response to how he should respond when asked questions about the incidents or the occurrences that, quote, made him fear for his life, that could have applied some pressure as well that made him even more emotional, if not the real reason why he was emotional in the first place. One of the craziest things to me is that if Grosskreutz shot and killed Rittenhouse, it would have been as legal as Rittenhouse shooting him. Would it now? Would it now? Do you think that a judge would have handled the case in the same way if a Black Lives Matter protester killed a counter-protester? Say it was Kyle Rittenhouse. Because I don't think the outcome of this trial would be nearly the same. The guy in Portland didn't get the benefit of the doubt. Trump ordered him hunted and killed, essentially. Yeah. Reinhold or whatever his name was. Yep, he got killed by U.S. Marshals. He already has a deal with Tucker Carlson for an interview and documentary. Chuds are going to be emboldened just for the chance to chase fame. Yeah. And, maybe he's not, maybe other right-wingers aren't going to be the clout chasers that Kyle Rittenhouse clearly is. But if this gives them what they think is license to try to use the legal kill doctrine, they're going to use it. Especially where you have stronger stand your ground laws. Reinhold? Oh god, there's a documentary teaser. I can't. Oh god.
It's the stuff that keeps you up at night. Like, once you finally do get to sleep, your dreams are about what happened and you're waking up in a dark, cold sweat.
Yeah. You had dreams about what happened?
Every single night. It's quite scary, actually, because the dreams feel so real, and they're not the same at all. They're all different. They're the different scenarios that run through your head during the day, like what could have happened. Like, I'm alive, but what could have happened? Like, what if I wasn't alive, or what if I...
Oh man, you know what's like crazy about that? You know who doesn't have the opportunity to ask these questions? The two people you killed. Must be real nice to be in a position where you can even ask that question.
Did let Mr. Rosenbaum steal my gun? It's those type of dreams of the outcome of it's bad, but almost every outcome is either me getting seriously injured or hurt or dead. Those are just the dreams I have on a daily basis.
The defendant will rise.
Yeah, again, what a privileged position to be in. To ask yourself these questions. You know what he didn't mention? He did not mention any self-reflection over the course of the entire year waiting for this trial that maybe he shouldn't have been in Kenosha in the first goddamn place. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. Like, not once does he bring up, his entire actions that led to the death of 2 people and almost 3.
Face the jury and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
How do you feel, man?
The jury reached the correct verdict. Self-defense is not illegal.
I hate him.
And I believe they came to the correct verdict, and I'm glad that everything went well. And it's been a rough journey, but we made it through it. We made it through the hard part.
The writing was on the wall whenever Schroeder dropped the misdemeanor charge. And that was just all that you needed to know, I think, that this judge and this defense attorney was going to do everything in their power to help him walk. It's actually unequivocally understood at this point that he showed up with an an AR-15. And it's adding insult to injury for the judge to drop that charge. Because there's video evidence. Rittenhouse, admitted to having it. He obviously used it to kill 2 people. How exactly are you going to drop the charge that is material evidence to the case itself and is also the murder weapon? So, just out of curiosity, in a video game, if I find out where the next fucking Klans meeting is, Unite the Right rally, whatever the fuck, and I show up with an AR-15, and things start to pop off a little bit, do I get to whip out my gun and kill somebody? Because I am fearful. I am fearful of my life. Is that how that works? I'm going to go ahead and do what Kyle Rittenhouse does, and in a video game, Google. I'm obviously not going to do that. I've never shot a gun. I don't own a gun. I am not. Nah, the law don't serve you. I am not trying to get on a list. I am just saying that imagine if this were an opportunity taken by leftists to feel emboldened to show up to a Unite the Right rally or a Proud Boys rally. Do what far-right extremists and fascists do at Black Lives Matter rallies or protests. Cause chaos, start fires, burn down buildings, damage property. Get that going. Instigate that. And then show up. It's like half are stirring up the chaos, turning a peaceful demonstration into an outright riot that gets the crowd going, just to turn around for the other half of the fucking fascist group to be on site with guns, armed and ready. I am fearful that that is going to be the most common occurrence at any protest henceforth. Only those who defend the white supremacy the cops love get protection from the laws. Jesus. In other news, Kim Kardashian is spotted holding Pete Davidson's hand while wearing Yeezys. That is a power move. Okay? Anyway. Why? Also waiting on SCOTUS to decide if open carrying will be allowed in New York City protests. Here could get so dangerous. And we have people in the crowd acting like the protesters who are already a white supremacist started shit. And we have people in the crowd acting like protesters. That's what I'm saying. Think about all of the times that like white nationalists and fascists, like neo-Nazis, were caught starting fires. That was the case in that was the case in Minneapolis, right? At a George Floyd protest. So who's to say that this won't now be a coordinated attack where some of the fascists will literally start the fire, the other half will show up with their guns and kill people, get their legal kill. I mean, I know I'm talking like worst case scenario, but like let's be honest about what these fuckers are capable of. You know?
Case of police brutality against a Negro follows the same pattern. They attack you, bust you all upside your mouth, and then take you to court and charge you with assault. What kind of democracy is that? What kind of freedom is that? What kind of social or political system is it when a black man has no voice in court, has nothing on his side other than what the white man chooses to give him? My brothers and sisters, we have to put a stop to this. And it will never be stopped until we stop it ourselves. They attack the victim. And then the criminal who attacked the victim accuses the victim of attacking him. Yes, sir. This is American justice. Yes, sir. That's right. This is American democracy. Yes, and those of you who are familiar with it, yes, know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy.
God, what a Chad.
Every case of
Anonymously, thank you for subscribing with your Prime. Holy shit, we got a naturally occurring subby in the wild. Thank you so much. It's Friday, November 19th, International Men's Day. Just wondering if you have anything planned to commemorate it. I think you went for Thumb Wars. Is there just anything that men don't have? Like, is there anything in the world other than a vagina? And some men do have them. And they are just as valid as cis men. But still, I cannot tell the difference between leftists who claim to be leftists posting those irony-poisoned international men's memes whenever they're kind of guilty of like sexism and misogyny, you know what I mean, and chauvinism. And I know that the running joke was that Google didn't do the thing that Google does on international days, and International Women's Day had a nice little mural in commemoration of really powerful, inspirational women. But you know, some who are like actually like, no, you know what, men rock, and I'm sick of having to like not feel free to say this, and I'm celebrating International Men's Day. Like, okay, thanks. Thanks, men, for existing. Like, it's so weird. It's so weird. Riddle me this. What the fuck? On International Women's Day, do you go into every single male leftist and you ask what they are doing to celebrate International Women's Day? I don't watch any male leftist. I would otherwise. Excuse me. So why don't you watch any male leftists? It does kind of make sense, actually. Because I know that Nicole did celebrate, kind of, International Men's Day. Nicole is so goddamn smart. Let me guess. Nicole probably did something like celebrate, show me that you're a man, or something, by being a charitable donor. In the spirit of International Men's Day. Lucid and Rob? Is that Rob who does the show with Jordan Yule? Rob Rousseau. Yes. Okay. Bad Bunny was going really hard today, from what little I saw. We watched terrible cringe videos on how to pick up women and be an alpha male. I'm not even saying men are trash. And it does now make sense as to why you would ask that question. Alphas are boring as shit. Okay, computer nerd. First and foremost, Nicole is a friend of mine. And I understand that you don't necessarily like a streamer's style, but under no circumstances is it ever okay to come in to my chat and talk about one of my friends. Okay? Please do not make that mistake again. Thank you. Again, this is not a place where you air out your grievances of other streamers, especially when they are my friends. That is true. Malcolm X was a Sigma. If ever there was one, Malcolm X would be that. Yes. I will agree with that. And the fucking Proud Boys are trending on Twitter. Of course, I'm sure that they are popping the fucking bubbly. They are super duper excited and celebrating this win. You know that they are. And you know that they're going to be so incredibly outspoken like they always are, and it's going to be really obnoxious. If they see this as a win, oh my god, what? Of course they see this as a win. They have to see this as a win. Is there anything to be gained from focusing on this? I mean, I think that it's important to consider what this means. I already unfriended people for their celebrations about the verdict. I can't imagine people just being excited or thinking that this is some win that causes for celebration. Like, I can imagine just being that overtly bigoted and racist. See, I think that if you wanted Kyle Rittenhouse to walk, you should at the very least feel so ashamed to say things out loud or publicly about it that at the very least you say nothing. But no, we are at this weird precipice, and it has a lot to do with Trumpism taking way that gives people this feeling of invincibility and emboldens them to speak out and say what they want to say without any fear of consequence. And if there is consequence, cry about cancel culture, right? Because nobody should be excited that Kyle Rittenhouse walked. Unless you believe that it is okay to kill people and get away with it. Give them validation. It does. It reinforces their discriminatory thinking, and it makes it even more difficult to even find the place where we can start to have discussions about white supremacy as a system and how it is a system that benefits those who are willing to uphold it. And that's what Kyle Rittenhouse was doing whenever he drove across state lines to Kenosha. He had discussions with the police, rubbed elbows with them, said, I'm here to protect and serve the buildings that are at risk of destruction. He established rapport with the cops prior to killing 2 people, almost 3. So naturally,